In this video, I'm going to explain how to translate verbal expressions into algebraic expressions. And if this video helps you out at all, remember to hit that subscribe button. Algebra is a language in and of itself. You ever sat in class and the math teacher said something and you just totally didn't understand, and then you looked at your neighbor and they didn't understand either? Well, that's algebra. That's basically a foreign language. Actually, they should give you a foreign language credit for this class. So if I said some number squared is 5 less than 4 times the number, would you be able to translate that into an algebraic expression right away? Maybe not, but I'm going to go through this so you can understand how to do it. You know, just like any other language, algebra can be learned. So we look at this, square means to multiply the number by itself, something squared. So 5 squared is 5 times 5. And 5 less than means to subtract 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from something. If you look at 4 times, that means to multiply something by 4. And then some number, in algebra, the unknown value is going to be represented by some variable, typically x. So if we look at keywords for addition, so these, if you ever hear these words, that means to do some kind of addition. So if it says added to, like it says, 10 added to y, it's going to translate to y plus 10. If you see more than 5 more than x, it's going to mean to add 5 to x, or just x plus 5. Another keyword is the sum of. The sum of x and 3 would be x plus 3. Over here, increased by, that means addition. X increased by 4 translates into x plus 4. Or even the total of. The total of 7 and x would mean 7 plus x. So those are keywords for addition. Added to, more than, the sum of, increased by, the total of. Now for subtraction, if you hear these keywords, remember you need to subtract something. So if you hear the word minus, as in x minus 10, and that's going to translate to x minus 10. Or if you hear less than, 5 less than y, that's going to be y minus 5. And this always seems to trip up people. If I say 5 less than y, that means I'm taking 5 away from y. So it's going to be y minus 5. If 5 is not going to be first, it's going to be at the end when it subtracts or takes away from y. Or if you hear decreased by, g decreased by 4, that means g minus 4. Or if you hear the difference between, as in the difference between x and 8, is going to be x minus 8. Now for multiplication, if you hear the keyword times, as in 5 times x, it's going to be 5x in algebra. Or if you hear the keyword of, 2/3 of x is going to be 2 over 3 x, or 2/3 x. Product of x and y means to multiply those two together, x times y, or xy. Multiplied by x multiplied by 10, or 10x. So that was multiplication. You hear times, of, the product of, or even multiplied by. Now for division, if you hear divided by, as in x divided by 5, that's going to be x over 5, or x divided by 5. Quotient of, the quotient of x and y, it could be x over y or x divided by y. Or if you hear the ratio of x and 4 will be x over 4, x divided by 4. So for the division, if you hear divided by, the quotient of, or the ratio of, that will signal to you that you need to divide. Now for power, you might hear the square of, that means to square something. So the square of x means x squared. The cube of x means x to the third power. If you hear the word power of, it could be x to the power of 4, so x to the fourth power. So in that case, that can be any number there. It could be x to the power of 10, that'd be x raised to the 10th power. Now for equality, you might hear the keyword equals, as in 13 times x plus 4 equals 7. That translates to 13x plus 4 equals 7. Or you might hear the keyword is, 15 plus the square of x is 40. So that's 15 plus x squared equals 40. So for equality, if you hear equals or is, that will signal to you to use the equal sign. So here, let's go through a few examples. So here, the first one says the sum of x and 5. So remember, sum is addition. We have x and 5, so it's just going to be x plus 5. Next one says the product of 5 and the sum of x and 3. So it's going to be 5 times that sum. So I'm going to do the sum first, which is x plus 3. And it needs to be 5 times the whole thing, so I'm going to put in parentheses. So 5 times the sum of x plus 3. Next one says 15 less than the product of 5 and x. Now remember when I said, less than basically comes at the end. I will subtract 15 from the product of 5 and x. So the product of 5 and x is 5x. And then 15 less, I want to subtract 15 from it. Next one says the 8 times the difference between x and 2. So we can do the difference. Difference means subtraction, so x minus 2. And then 8 times it, so it's times the whole thing. So it's going to be in parentheses 8 times the quantity x minus 2. Or 8 times the difference between x and 2. Next one says 2/3 of the sum of x and 9. So the sum of x and 9 will be in parentheses. And then 2/3 is going to be a fraction. So 2/3 of being this multiplication, the sum of x and 9. So 2/3 times the quantity x plus 9. Next one says w increased by the difference between 5 times w and 3. So we get w is going to be increased by, so that means addition. And the difference between 5 times w and 3. So we got a lot of things going on there. So 5 times w, that's going to be 5w. And 3, that's going to be the difference of those two. So I put those together. So w increased by the difference between 5 times w and 3. So w plus 5w minus 3. So in this one reads, the product of 15 and x increased by 5 is 50. So we got product, that means multiplication. We got increased by is addition, is an equal sign. Okay, so we got a product of 15 and x increased by 5. So 15 is going to be a product, so it's multiplication. So x increased by 5, x plus 5, and then is equal sign 50. So 15 times the quantity of the addition of x plus 5 equals 50. So next one says the sum of 5 times a number and 10 is equal to the product of 15 and the number. All right, so we have sum is addition times multiplication is equal sign, product means multiplication. All right, so the sum of 5 times a number, so 5x and 10, so the sum of those two is equal to the product of 15 and a number. So product means multiplication, so 15x. So 5x plus 10 equals 15x. Next one says the quotient of the sum of 3 times a number and 1 and 4. So we got quotient here, quotient of the sum of 3 times a number. So the sum of 3 times a number and 1. So that's the quotient of the sum of 3 times a number and 1. And then the other part is going to be the other half of the quotient. It's going to be the 4. So 3x plus 1 divided by 4. The quotient of the sum of 3 times the number and 1 and 4. The quotient of those two.